Healing childhood trauma is like every day giving yourself what you didn't receive as a child. And as a highly sensitive person, spending just 30 minutes on this free app helps me do that and chip away at these neglect wounds. So today I want to share what this app is and the 3 genius ways you can use it to start healing today. 5 years ago, when I started on my journey to heal neglect trauma, my biggest obstacle was that I didn't know how much of it I carried. It took me years of healing and research to realize the true impact of what didn't happen in my childhood. To save you from all of this pain, I've created this free tool that tells you exactly how much neglect trauma you experienced as a child. You just answer some questions and it gives you a score out of 100. Do check it out. So the app is called How We Feel. It is so effective that it's not only a part of my daily life, but I also suggest it to every single one of my clients. You can find it for free on both Play Store, App Store, and even though I'll be fanboying about this app throughout the video, this is not sponsored. I love it so much only because of how fucking effective it is for healing neglect trauma. Before I walk you through it, it's important for you to understand the nature of neglect trauma for everything to make sense. So I had a friend and he used to feel dizzy all the time, especially when he was anxious. To cure that, he tried everything. He went to doctors. I even helped him through some hypnotherapy. But nothing really fixed it completely. Eventually, he realized that it was because he is a vegetarian and he was low on vitamin B12. That is what was causing his symptoms of dizziness. And as soon as he started supplementing, his symptoms vanished. Now he could have done 1,001 things to fix his dizziness, but until he received what his body was deficient in, nothing would truly help him. Same is the case with neglect. Because it is the lack of good things that were supposed to happen to you as a child, the way to heal it is, just like my friend, to give yourself those good things today. This is also what reparenting the inner child is about. So then what are those good things? Most people don't get this about neglect, and understanding this was the key for my healing journey. So as a child, the same way you are dependent on your parents for your physical needs, you are also dependent on them for your emotional needs. Because the emotional part of your brain isn't fully developed. You can't process your own emotions the same way you can't go and cook your own meal to meet your physical needs. So you need your parents to process and regulate your emotions for you. Even more so for us highly sensitive people. When that doesn't happen, your emotional system doesn't develop sufficiently, and this is what causes neglect trauma, which affects you by fucking up your connection with the body because emotions are felt here. They're not just up here. You get dysregulated very easily, you feel numb and dead inside like I did. It causes alexithymia, which is the inability to describe emotions. It also causes purposelessness, where nothing really excites you anymore. Essentially, emotional neglect lowers your emotional intelligence, which is really a duh. But unlike IQ, which remains constant more or less throughout your life, you can increase your EQ dramatically. And research shows that it improves every single area of your life. But what really is EQ and how can you improve it? EQ is defined as the ability to understand and manage your own emotions and that of others, but we are not focused on that in this video. There's a beautiful and simple framework developed by Yale University to build up your emotional intelligence. There are 5 skills to develop, which go by the acronym of RULER. The R stands for recognize, which is identifying your emotions in your body. U is understand where the emotions come from and why you feel that in this moment. L is label the emotion using precise words. E stands for express emotion in a healthy way. And then finally R is for regulate, which is manage them in a healthy way. This is where the app shines and single-handedly helps you develop all of these 5 skills. Let me walk you through it. As soon as you open it, it asks you the classic question, how are you feeling? There are 4 options to choose from: high energy pleasant, high energy unpleasant, low energy pleasant, low energy unpleasant. This immediately helps you recognize what are you feeling in the moment. Also notice how it doesn't call the emotions negative or positive, rather unpleasant and pleasant. I'll get to why that is crucial in a minute. And when you click on one of these, it opens up into several bubbles so that now you can become more specific on what exactly is that you're feeling. This helps you with the label of ruler. Then there is also space for you to figure out what caused this emotion by journaling and noticing patterns. This is the U of ruler. You can also express your emotions here, which would be the E of ruler. And my favorite feature of all, there is this place for you to figure out where you are feeling the emotion in your body. This goes further deep into recognizing the emotion. And after all of this, the app also suggests you ways to regulate these emotions. I don't really use this feature, but it is there if you need it. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Here are 3 genius ways you can use this app to heal your neglect trauma. The first way is to become an emotion scientist. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say you have to solve a very difficult maths equation for your project or whatever. How do you do that? Do you do that by ignoring it and scrolling instead? Or do you do that by spending time with it and trying to understand it? The answer is pretty obvious, and the same is the case with your emotions. Most people by default, because of this very neglect trauma, are emotion judges. That is, they judge a set of their emotions as bad and other ones as good. So I want more of this and I want less of this. But research shows building emotional intelligence requires you to be curious and spend time with your emotions, especially the unpleasant ones, just like the maths equation. That is, it requires you to transition from an emotion judge to an emotion scientist. The beauty of the app is that it helps you embody the emotion scientist mindset. It won't transition you from a judge to a scientist overnight, but it is the easiest place that I know to start. I personally aim to do these check-ins at least thrice a day, but I suggest my clients to do it as many times as possible, but at least once a day. The second way is the key lesson of this book. Most people don't know this, but emotions are felt in the body as raw sensations. And when neglect causes a disconnect with your emotions, it causes a disconnect with your body, which is what I experienced. I used to feel emotionally dead and completely numb in my body. The way to heal then is to build a connection with the body that broke off or was never created because of this neglect. The section in the app where it helps you locate the feelings in your body is one of the most effective ways that I know to do that. Just these tiny 30-second check-ins with the body builds your interoception muscles, that is your ability to feel inside your body. And over time, this makes you a master of your emotions. And finally, the third way to use this app will make you more self-aware than Dalai Lama. Do you think my friend remembers not getting the vitamin B12 in his diet? This question is so obvious that I felt dumb when I was writing this script. But of course he does not, because it is the absence of something in his diet. The same is the case with neglect trauma, and what makes it so dangerous because you cannot remember it happening or even where it stems from. And if you know nothing about its presence, you cannot work on it to heal. So how does one locate this neglect trauma? Just like my friend's B12 deficiency, neglect shows up in your symptoms. Every time you get triggered by something, that is your wounds of neglect surfacing. You can track these triggers to understand your patterns of neglect. Here's exactly how. Let's say you get triggered by something your partner said and you intellectually know that it was an overreaction. You can open up the app and check in the emotion, and in the journaling area, reflect upon what exactly is it about your partner that triggered you so much and where it stems from in your past. So maybe she used the same condescending tone that your mother used when you were a child. If you don't have time or are incapable of doing this when you're triggered because it's so overwhelming, you can do this anytime later in the day, doesn't matter. If you can just do this every time you get triggered over a month, you'll understand your neglect wounds, even trauma wounds, better than 90% of people. And you'll be in a much better position to heal them. This app is an absolute essential if you're working with CEN, that is emotional neglect. And needless to say, I love it. But it's just one of the 11 concrete tools I suggest to heal neglect trauma in this video. So click here to learn this entire system that I've created after half a decade of research and healing.